So first of all, how was the spring break? Everything? It was good?
Yeah.
You managed to relax? Come in. Hey guys. Yeah, we're just starting, so you didn't miss anything. Don't worry. So how was the spring break over there? Did you have fun, guys? It was good? You rested? You're ready for new projects, right?
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Very good. That's always good. I like, when you have more energy. So that's good. Okay, so today you remember last time we explored another type of API. We explored DALL-E for image generation, and today we're also going to explore a third type of artificial intelligence API called Whisper. It's also built by OpenAI, but this one works with audio. So it's used for translation and transcription of audio files. So what we're going to do mainly today is having audio files and learn how we can transcribe them using AI. Okay. So today class is actually going to be focused a little bit more on more small projects rather than one big one. Okay. So we're going to have audio files that we're going to transcribe, translate. I will also show you how you can work with very large audio files as well, because currently the Whisper is available to process audio files that are up to 5 minutes, but I will show you how you can overcome this as well. Yeah, come in. Okay, so this is the way that we're going to connect to Whisper. Actually, this might be a little outdated because recently OpenAI actually changed the way that we're assessing the Whisper API, but I will show you the updated version in this lecture. So why would you need such a type of API? You can obviously use that for many different applications. For example, you can use for applications where the user can talk on a microphone, okay? Your app records the voice of the person and then translates it immediately, okay? This is one application. Another one is the user passes an audio file and then you create subtitles. For example, this type of API can create live subtitles of a movie when it samples the movie, transcribes the text, and it can create subtitles as well, okay? So those are some real-life applications where you can use the Whisper API. And you're going to see how this works today. We're also going to use a tool. It's a very simple one. It's called PyDub, and we're going to use that to work with large audio files, okay? So as I said, Whisper doesn't work with files that are about 5 minutes long. Those are about 25 megabytes of audio files. So if you want to transcribe larger file, you need to use this additional Python library in order to work with those files. So we're going to explore this as well, okay? So today you're going to learn not only how to transcribe files, but also how you can work with big audio files, okay? So you have those skills if you need to create applications related to audio transcription and post-processing, okay? So this is briefly what we're going to be doing today. Now, before jumping into the code, are there any questions about any assignments, quizzes, other types of questions that you have? I forgot to ask in the beginning. No? Okay. All right, that's good. So in that case, again, we'll create a new PyCharm project, okay, and then we'll start building those type of APIs. Now, another thing, so since we're going to work with audio files, in Blackboard, I already, of course, uploaded the project like I do every time. And from there, I would ask you to at least download the files. So there is a folder called Chapter 10 Whisper. And inside, you have a folder called Files. Download this folder and place it in your project so you have those audio files. And we're going to use them for the projects, okay? I will show. So if you go to Blackboard and you go to topic 7, you can see just download the chapter 10 whisper.zip. You're right. Let me make it available. Correct. Okay, how about now? Now it's good? Yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, so yeah, just download chapter 10 Whisper, and I would advise you just take this folder and add it to your project that we're going to create right now. The folder is called Files. So I'll create a new PyCharm project right here, and I will call it Whisper. Okay, so create a new PyCharm project, the file config.py, where you place your API key, everything is going to be the same. And then we'll start building different files where I will show you how to use the Whisper API. Okay, so I'll create here a new Python file, call it config.py. Okay, API key will be equal to our API key. Okay, I will delete the main.py since it's auto-generated, and we can start fresh. Okay, so create your project, create the config.py. You have the virtual environment created with your project. Okay, so you should see that. And once we have that, then we can begin with our first application. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to create today is just a simple function that is going to take a file, an audio file, okay, and transcribe it. Okay, so wherever it's set inside this audio file, we'll get the text out of it. So I will take the folder with the audio files, and I will paste it in my project. Okay, so here's the files folder. Good. Okay, and I will just copy and paste it right here in the Whisper project. Okay. So now you can see we have those different files. We're going to work with the first one initially. Let me actually see if I can play it.
High quality build, offering seamless experience. They are favored by many professionals.
So this is the file I just played from my.
For their powerful performance and integration with the Apple's ecosystem.
Okay, so it's a very simple audio file. Actually, I didn't know that I'm speaking on that file, but apparently I do. And so the idea is that we want to transcribe this audio file in text. So to do that, I'll create a new file, a Python file, okay? Okay, and just so it's more intuitive for us, I will call this file transcribe.py. Okay, so now here, just in a few lines of code, you will be able to transcribe the file. Now the first thing that we need to do, I will do from OpenAI import OpenAI and just so I don't get this error here, I will install it from the terminal just like we usually do. So I will do pipe install OpenAI. Okay. Right. And now we can import the library. I will also import the config. So import config. And after that, I will connect our API key. So let's do client equals OpenAI Okay, and here API key will be equal to config.api key. Alright, so now once we plugged the OpenAI API key, now we can connect to the Whisper API. So I will do here file equals, and in Python usually if you want to pass an audio file to your code, you can use the, do you know what is the function that we usually can use? So in Python, if you want to, let's say you have a file, you have an audio file, and you want to pass this file to your code, right? So do you know the function that we can use to do that? It's also working actually with text files, you can do it also with audio files. So this is the open function, very simple. And I'll show you how it works, it's just one line of code. So you do open, okay, then you need to define, oops, so it's open, and then you need to define the path to that file. So in my case, and in your case as well, this is going to be in files, okay, slash apple.mp3, okay, and then you need to choose the open option, RB, I'm going to choose here, and that's it. So now everywhere that you refer this variable file, you're actually going to refer to the apple.mp3 file that you have. So now the next step would be simply to pass this file to the transcription engine of OpenAI. So I will do result equals to client.audio.transcriptions.create. And there are only two parameters that you need to define here. The first one is the model that you need to use, just like with the ChatGPT, and the second one is just to pass the file. So let's do model equals to whisper-1, so this is the model, and then file will be equal to file. Okay, and once we do that, we just need to print the result to verify that the file is actually transcribed. So I will do here result. Okay, so you see that once I run the file, you can see the text that I set on this audio file transcribed, okay? And then, of course, you can use this text in any type of application, so it's going to print wherever the audio file says. Okay, let me go around and see if you had any issues. Yeah, so you need to get a text, something about MacBook or wherever, yeah, that's it. Okay, so I saw that most of you did well, you saw the text, I mean it's a pretty simple exercise. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to translate text, okay? It's another very simple thing, we're just going to do a simple script that will do exactly that, okay? So let's create a new file and I'll call it translate.py. Okay, and here again I'm gonna import all the packages. Actually I'm going to just copy the first 3 lines from the previous file. That's it. Okay, and after that I will do whisper file equals, and here again we're going to open a file, so just in the same way I will do open, and here I will write files slash German.mp3, okay, and then here I will write RB again. Pretty standard. Now the next thing we will do is we will pass this to the Whisper API, and the Whisper will translate this audio file to English and it will provide you the text. So I will do result equals to client dot audio dot translations dot create, and here again I'm going to define the model. So the model will be again Whisper 1, Whisper-1, and after that the file will be equal to a Whisper file. And finally again I'm going to just print the result. Okay, so before starting the project I'm just going to play the file just like I did last time. So you see it's in German. Just 1 second.
Die Deutschen sind bekannt dafür, dass sie nicht gerne Smalltalk
so obviously just something
Ich werde
in
heute
German.
mal hier in Berlin versuchen, ob ich nicht doch ein...
Okay. So obviously this is text in German, and the idea is that here we're going to translate this audio file in English and print it. So I will just run it. So just do here translations instead of transcription, because if you do transcription you will just get the text in German. Okay. So if I run this again, it will transcribe and translate the file at the same time, and you can see the text here that is now translated. Okay. Okay. So that worked too. And now, since we have those two files that are working, now let's create a very simple application that will actually be able to transcribe files and display them to the screen. Okay. Now, since you already know the TKEnter from the previous lecture, now you know how to transcribe and translate files. It should be like a piece of cake for you to build such an application, right? You just need to create a very simple window. Okay. You need to be able to select an audio file, then you pass it to the Whisper API, and you simply display the text in your application. It should be pretty easy. So let's do that. Now I'll create a new file here, and I'll call it app.py. Right. Okay, so if you ask me, can they do that? Obviously, you can see they can, right? Do people do that actually? At least on the places I've been working in, they haven't been doing that. But I just think companies, they haven't thought about it yet, or most of them haven't thought about it yet. Maybe they do it in companies like Google, you know, that are investing so much in every single process, right? But that's a good suggestion, right? It will improve a lot of things. So they take the audio from the interview, they transcribe it, and then it's easier for them to analyze it, you know? Like you say, for example, you do an interview, they take the transcription, then they pass to ChatGPT with some questions about how you performed to the interview, okay? And the AI is giving them suggestions, should they hire you or not. So yeah, that's definitely possible. Okay, so let's build this up. It's just a few lines of code, so it shouldn't be very difficult to build. Now, firstly, I'm going to import TKEnter, so I will do import TKEnter as TK. Then I will do from TKEnter import file dialog, so we're going to use that to read the files. Then I will do from OpenAI import OpenAI, and then I will import the config. Okay, so I'm not going to waste too much of my time. I'm just going to go in some of my other files. I'll copy this line. So we have our API key in the project. Here we go. And after that, the first step that we need to take is simply to build the TKEnter window. Okay, very simple. Now once you're familiar with that, you see how fast it works. So let's do it. Now I'll create a new variable called window equals to tk.tk, right? And after that, I will just add the title to that window. So I will do window.title, and then you can call your application however you like. So let's do Whisper transcription app. Okay. Then inside, I will just create a text field where we're going to display our text from the audio file. So I will do text window equals to tk.text. Then I will pass my application object, which is window, and then I will just size the window. So I will do height equal 50, and then width I will do 200. But you can choose dimensions that you like. Then, so for every element that we add to our TKEnter application, we just need to pack it. So this is just some standard line. So text window dot pack. Okay. And once we have that, we also need to have some action button so we can activate the ChatGPT API. Pretty standard things. So I'll do button equals tk.button, and here I will pass the window that I created, and also I will define what text I want to be displayed in this button. So let's do text equals transcribe audio file. Okay, and after that I'll write command, and this will be the function that will run the Whisper API to transcribe the audio file. Okay, so I will call this function transcribe audio. Okay, for now I'll get an error since this function is not created yet, but finally I will do button dot pack, and finally I'll write one line to simply start the application. So you can do that by writing window dot main loop. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some time to write because I wrote this a little bit fast, but I will just create here above the application, I will just create the function so I don't get the error. So I will do def transcribe audio, and then I write pass here. So I just create a dummy function where we're gonna add information inside a little bit later. Okay. So once you write this, you can try running the app, okay, and you just get a window like this one, okay, a full-size window. Okay, so once you run the app, do you see the button? Because for some reason I don't see it, maybe because it's of the scaling of my window. Let's try this. Yeah, now I see it. Okay. Yeah, so I think because of my laptop resolution, I cannot see the button for every height and width, so I need to modify them a little bit, as you can see. But depending on your resolution, you might see the button. If you don't, change the resolution of your app. Okay. Are you all able to run the app? Somebody that has issues? Okay. So now I will create the transcribe audio function. It's just 11 lines of code, and you will be able to take a file and actually pass it to Whisper. Okay. So here in the transcribe audio, I'll remove the pass line of code, and I'll do file path equals to file dialog that we imported dot ask open file name, and this is a TKEnter function that will automatically ask you which file you want to open, so you will be able to browse in your directories in your device. Now, once we do that, here within the brackets you can write file types and define some file types which you want to browse. So here I will write audio files, okay, and after that I will say that I want to browse only files that end with MP3. Oh, okay, and remove this from here, put it here. Yep, that's it. So once you define that, the next step is so first of all, I'm going to do an if statement, and I will do if file path. So if we actually find a file path that we select, then I'll create a try block. So try, I think we've done try blocks before. For those of you that are not familiar that much with Python, try is pretty much when I say try and I put code under the try, this means try if this code doesn't give you an error. If it doesn't give you an error, everything works fine. If it gives you an error, then I'm going to define after that the except keyword, so it's going to print some specific error that I decide that I want to print. That way our application don't need to crash if there is some error. I will show you how it works. So I'm doing the try block, and here I will write audio file will be equal to open, okay, and now here, if you remember from before, we were passing a file path that we write as a string. Now, since we use the file dialog function, now our file path will be in this variable right here. So I will just pass it in the open here, and then I will again do RB. So far the idea is we use the file dialog function within TKEnter to get the file path in a user-friendly way and pass it to this variable, and here we have the path. And if there is path, okay, then we're going to get the audio file that is on that path and assign it to this variable right here, okay, using the open function that we've seen before. Okay, so once we do that, then we can simply transcribe the file, right? So what I will do is I will do it exactly in the same way like we did right here. Actually, I'm just going to copy this line, okay, from our transcribe.py, and I will paste it right here. I will just need to edit it a little bit. Make sure, so if you want to move all the lines, you can just mark everything and hit tab, so you can move the indentation level to be just under the audio file, right? And now, so here we have result equal to that, okay, and just instead of file, we will have audio file, because this is how our variable is called, okay? Now, once we have the result, as you can see, what we need to do next is to put the result or the text that we get from the result into our text field. So our text field is called text window, so I will just copy the name, go back here, and on the result I will write text window, and again make sure that this is under the try block, text window dot insert, and I'll write tk dot end. So we insert the text until the end. And then I write transcript, or not transcript, actually here's result. So result dot text. Okay. Now, why write result.text? Because if you remember, when we run our transcribe.py file, we had a response, and inside this response we had a variable called text, which was holding the text. So that's why if I want to print only the text from the response, I need to do result, so the response dot text. Okay. And now once we're done with that, I'm going to go one indentation level back here where we're on the Triblock, and I will do an except. Okay, so if this code here raises an error, instead of my application crashing, I'm going to capture the error, and I can just either print it and say there's an error, but we don't need to crash our window so our application breaks. So I will do except exception as e. So now this variable e here is going to hold the actual error. And instead of crashing the window, I'm going to just print it. Okay, so I will do print e. Okay. You can print in many different ways. Even I think inside the project I actually did it another way, so I just printed in the actual text field inside the application. You can do that too. It doesn't matter. But this is also a good way just to print in a terminal. And the easiest way. You can of course also do, and I will do actually the both ways. You can also do text window dot insert, just like we did here. I'll actually copy that. Insert, and then here I can just print the error. So I will do an f string error. Okay, and then I'll do STRE. Okay, so in that way I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll print the error, but I will print it inside the application so the user can see there. If the user is not a programmer and it doesn't run it with Python IDLE or some IDE. Okay. And once we do that, so we did try, except, and now I'm going to go back. So we did this if there is file path, right? Something happens. So I'll go back here where the if is, and I will say what's happening if there is no file path. If we selected a file, but for some reason we didn't get a path. So we can handle also that situation, right? So when you build applications, it is very important to think about any scenario, especially for the error scenarios, and to handle them, because if you don't, your application can break, okay, and the users will be unsatisfied, obviously. So for that reason, here I also do else, and I will print some other statement. So here I will just do file path not found. Okay, so here's how it looks. Okay, if we have file path, try this code, try to connect the Whisper API. If you get an error, print it in the window. If you don't find the file path, then say that we don't have the file path. That way, even if you did some mistakes inside the code, it will be way easier for you to discover where those mistakes are. Okay? Okay, so you can see that I'm actually getting into selecting a file. Okay, let's go to files, and let's get this apple.mp3 and hit transcribe, and you can see that we transcribed the file and we displayed it in our application. A pretty basic application where you can transcribe files and show the text to the users. Alright, so far so good. We're almost done. Now the last thing that I'm going to show you is just how to work with long files. Okay, so for example, if you want to transcribe a whole movie, it's not gonna work because the file is too large. So let's see how we can fix that. So I'll create a new file and I'll just create it longer files. Okay, and here I will just copy the base libraries so we don't waste time. So install OpenAI, install config, activate OpenAI. Okay, so the next thing I will do, I will pass longer file. So let's say this phone.mp3, imagine that this is like a long file that cannot be run by the application, or it slows down your application, or it's a file that is going to be rejected. Okay, so what do we do? The first thing I will do song equals. Now before continuing, I will also install PyDub. So let's go to the terminal and do pipe install PyDub. Okay, all set. And once you do that, here I'm going to get the file path with the PyDub function. So I will do from PyDub import audio segment. Okay, now I will do audio segment dot from mp3. Okay, and here I will just pass the path of our file. Okay, so in my case this will be files slash phone.mp3. Okay, now the next thing, and this is something very logical, what we need to do is we need to take 5 minutes of our file. So let's say we want to break our file into 5-minute segments. So I'll create a variable called 5 minutes. Note that every variable that I create, I'm trying to make it as descriptive as possible. So later if I go back to the code, I know exactly what the variable does, or I can assume just by looking at it. So 5 minutes. Now, I'm not going to write the final number of 5 minutes that I want to get, but I will write it as an equation. So I need to represent 5 minutes in seconds in order for PyDub to read them. So I will do just 5 minutes multiplied by 60 seconds. And actually I will also need to multiply this by 1000 to get it in milliseconds. Okay. Now, once we have the number of milliseconds with which we want to take different portions of the audio file, the next thing is to just break down the file. So I will create first 5 minutes. Okay. And now, since we have this song here that is audio segment with the PyDub function, you can get pieces very easy. I can just do song, okay, and from the song I can take the first 5 minutes like this, so 5 minutes. What this means? This means from the song, start from the beginning, so here is empty, right? I don't have anything before the column, which means I start from the beginning of the song until the 5 minutes or until wherever this equation says, until the milliseconds that are equal to 5 minutes. So I'm going to get the first portion of the song. Okay. So once I do that, I can export that song and create an audio file just with this part of the song. Okay. The best practice is when you create that and pass it to Whisper to delete it after that, but I'm not going to get into too much details, so we're just going to create audio file that is just with the 5-minute portion. So here's how it's done. I will do first 5 min dot export, okay, and I will do here, so I'll put this file in files slash phone underscore first 5 dot mp3. Okay, so I'll export the first 5 minutes. Okay, and I will define the format to be mp3. Now let's say if I want to get the last 5 minutes, I can just copy this and paste it below. Okay, and I can just say I want from the 5th minute of the audio until the end. Okay, so here is the 5th minute of the audio until the end. I want to cut this portion, and I will call this last 5 minutes. This actually might not be 5 minutes, but is wherever we have from our song, that is after 5 minutes until the end. Okay, of course there are way better ways to do that as well. If you have even a larger file, you can create a for loop and just for every iteration take 5-minute portions of your file and move forward on and on and on. But since our file is about 10 minutes long, this is sufficient. Okay, so I'll call this last 5 minutes, then here last 5 minutes as well. Okay, and here I'll also call it last 5 minutes. Okay, so now with PyDub, we were able to break down our file into smaller portions. And then what's left is just to pass those smaller portions to the Whisper API. Okay, so here's what we do. I will do file equals open, and then I will simply open the files that should be created. Okay, so this would be here. So I open audio files by the last 5 .mp3, and then I will do rb. Okay, and then actually I'll just copy this. So, and once we open the file with the last 5 minutes, I'm simply going to pass it here, and then I'm just gonna copy and paste this for the other file. So I will do here file, okay, so I will do here first 5 minutes, right? And then we're gonna get the result. Now here let's print the first part. So I'll print result, and here I'll also print result. Okay, so this is probably one of the worst ways to to do that, you can actually do it in a way more efficient way. I was actually thinking to give you an assignment on making this code more efficient, but I decided not to. Because, for example, you can, let's say you can put the first and the last 5 minutes in a list. You can loop over the list and run this function only once. You don't need to put it 2 times. Okay. Another thing, as I said, you can also create a for loop and just take different cuts of the file if you have longer files. That will actually allow you to do infinite length of files, right? But this is sufficient for now. Okay, so let's run that and see what happens. Okay, so you can see that we got the first transcription, and now under it we're going to get a second one, right? So we have 2 transcriptions here. You can of course also put the text into a variable, then merge the 2 variables together, so you just have 1 variable with the complete text, right? For example, I can do, let's say, final text equals to an empty string, okay, and I can do here final text. You can do it in many different ways actually. Plus equals result dot text, and you can also do that here. Plus equals result dot text. Okay, so that should also append the 2 strings one after another. Okay, so we have it in the same file. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, you're again using exactly the same function of Whisper. The only key feature that you add is this part here where you break down your file into different pieces. Alright guys, so I saw that for most of you the code didn't work. Okay, I'll have to see why. For me it worked, which is very strange. And I'll let you know. So I made picture of there, and I'll have a look, and I will send you an email with instructions. Okay. And I'm doing that because for the last 30 minutes I just want to cover the assignment that you're going to get. Instead of going into that, I think it's going to be more useful for you. Okay, so this is everything that we're going to cover today about the Whisper. And now I think maybe you saw in the syllables. So today I'm going to release quiz 3, and you're also going to have your second assignment, which is going to be on building desktop applications with artificial intelligence. Okay, so actually this is going to be on an application that we already created in one of our previous lectures, and I will just ask you to modify it a little bit. So in Blackboard you're going to see the assignment with the detailed instructions, but also here I will give you some I'll briefly explain you what your objective is going to be. Okay, let me just run the project and then we'll cover it. So let's go through this. Okay, so now your next assignment will be to actually create an application on your own. Okay, actually it's not going to be entirely from scratch, but from one of the applications that we did already. You can use this as a baseline to build something new. So the assignment is going to be for you to build a quiz generator. Okay, so your application should have the following options. Now, firstly, with this browse button, you should be able to browse a Word file where there will be some text. Okay, it could be an essay, it could be a lesson, it could be anything, a long text. After that, you have here this drop-down menu where you will be able to choose the number of questions. So I choose here a drop-down menu with up to 5 questions. So you can choose whether the user can choose whether he wants 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions generated. And finally, you have another drop-down menu where the user will be able to choose the type of questions. They can be, for example, multiple choice, multiple selection, or open answer. So the user will select the text, number of questions, the type of questions, right? Actually, it's going to be in this order. Firstly, the user is going to select the number of questions, the type of questions, then click the browse button, select the file, and once the file is selected, the AI should generate the questions in this window right here. Okay, so this is going to be very similar to the app that we did for the essay generation tool, and you can use it as a baseline. So in what I showed you and in the code that you already have, we're doing similar thing where we click the browse button, we select a text, and from it, oh, I think it was the translation tool actually. So we select a file, we select a text, and we translate and display it in the window. Just in this version, you have one more drop-down menu, okay? And you need to change the prompt to the ChatGPT API. The prompt wouldn't be translate the text, but generate whatever type of questions the user selects. Okay? Any questions? Do you all understand the description so far? Make sense? Okay. Now, the next thing, to simplify this assignment for you a little bit, I modified a little bit the translation application that we had, so you can use this project as a baseline. I'm going to attach to the assignment. So let me just open the project and I will show you what I mean. Okay. So this is the translation tool that we already created in one of our previous lectures. Here I added for you my approach, how I would make it, and you can see that at each place where I would do something, I wrote steps, right? So for example, we start here with step 1, change the title of the app, right? Step 2, do something else right here. So for example, here I wrote create a new drop-down menu, similar to the previous one, add it to the project, those type of things. Then here, I'm just, so follow the steps. Don't go from just the beginning of the code until the end. Follow the steps. If you, of course, need them, you can do completely different approach, however you like. For me, it's important in this course, the applications to work in the end of the day. Okay? Okay, so you can follow that. Now, one advice. So when you download a project, it's going to be looking like this. And obviously there is no virtual environment here, as you can see. So you will need to create virtual environment in your project in order to use it, right? When you create project from scratch, the virtual environment is automatically created. Here, when you download a project, you just need to create one inside, for which you also have the instructions inside the assignment. So here I'm describing how your project should look and should work. And then here, as you can see, I'm just explaining for you, once you download the blueprint, the base project that I just showed you, how you can create a new virtual environment there and activate it, so you can use the project. Okay? Make sure that you set up the virtual environment, you run the base project, you see that the language translation application works, okay? And then on the top of that, you can build your assignment. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Now, I'm just going to go over the syllables, so we are familiar with the deadlines as well. All right. So, as you can see right now, we're in week 10, so assignment 2 is going to be due for week 12, so we have 2 weeks to complete it, right? It's not as much as for assignment 1 I think I released assignment 1 a little bit earlier, but yeah, it's not as much as before, but I think 2 weeks are enough for you to do that task, especially now with the experience that you have. Today I'm also releasing quiz 3, so make sure that you also complete quiz 3. And for those of you that also have presentations, this week is going to be a lot of fun for you, because you have a lot of things. For those of you that have presentations, please prepare them for next week. So how they are going to go, we're all going to get together. Even if you don't have presentation, I advise you to participate for 2 reasons. First reason, you're going to learn something new. You're going to support your friends, your colleagues, right? Which is important. And also, you're gonna get a good advantage because you see how people present. So next time when you have to present, you are going to be less stressed. Okay. For those that present, please also upload your presentation in Blackboard, so I can grade it there as well. But the most important thing is to be able to present. If you just upload a presentation and you don't present, it doesn't count. Okay? All right. Any questions for that? Which of you are going to present next week? To raise hands. Okay. All right. So almost. Okay. More than half. Okay, good. All right then. So if you don't have any more questions, that's going to be everything for today. Thank you very much, and I'm going to see you next Monday. Okay.